Hello and welcome to mini lesson number 3. We're using Clip Studio again and we're continuing with our Funko Pop drawings. So in the previous lesson I showed you how to draw and sketch a very simple Funko with a little bit of colour. This time I'm going to fully paint it. So I've taken the template that I drew on the previous lesson. If you haven't seen that, just go to lesson 002 and you'll be able to pick up what I'm talking about. So I've created a new layer and I very quickly blocked the face in there, and then so that I'm not smudging over the face, I've created another layer on top of that and I'm putting in the yellow for the hair, and I'm just painting it in blocks here. And what I'm doing, I'm just very roughly adding the background colours here, so the base colours. I'm not going for perfection in coverage, I'm not going for a perfect outline or line. All I'm doing is trying to get in there the simple details. And as you can see on here, the legs are a little bit longer than my template. That doesn't matter, you don't have to stick exactly to your template, that's just there as a little guideline. So I've got the main body in there. I'm now adding a bit of details of the inside of the hood that comes around her face here. The important thing when using programs like Clip Studio is that you use layers to your advantage. So don't just do one layer and add all these colours on one layer, because they might smudge each other. Also, if you make a mistake, you can just erase a whole layer, or you can move layers about. So I'm just very roughly putting in this colour for the arms now, just to be painting in there. And again, we're not looking for perfection at the minute, we're just looking to get the block of colours in there. You'll see the circle there going up and down, that's just me using my surface dial just to increase and decrease the brush size to suit my needs as I'm going along. So we're just putting in little details on the hips there, a little bit of colour around here. I mean, her costume is white, of course on a white background that's not going to stand out, so I'm using a light grey now just to block it in. I'm going to block in some fingers now and the hands. And as you'll see as we move on to the face in a bit, that again, the wonderful thing about Funko Pops is that they capture so much character in very few details. Just with two eyes, some eyebrows and a nose, they manage to get a full character. Brilliant to see. Bit of blue there on the shoes, again on another layer on top of that black, just painting it in. So quickly add the eyes. There we go, and the other one. And for the eyelashes, very blocky there, look at that. Don't worry about that looking a mess, because we're going to get the eraser, we're going to use that eraser to smarten up the lines and to make those eyelashes come to a point, which you'll see in a second. And again, this is the beauty of drawing digitally, is you can just block that in and just rub it out, and you can always go back and it won't make a mark on your paper, won't leave a permanent impression. You can just get rid of it, tidy it up as you go along. So now I'm just adding a little bit of highlighting grey on the bottom of the eyes, a little bit on the top, and then a lighter colour, and just add more to that highlight, just brings it out. Just moving the layers about a bit just to get them in place. You can see the hair's now popping out because I've moved the hood behind that. Unfortunately it's gone and covered up the shoes, so I'm going to have to draw them shoes back in. So here we go. That's my fault, I should have planned my layers better. And now I'm adding shadows to the hair, just an orange colour there, just to block them in again. We're not too fussed about it being too perfect at the moment again, because what we're going to do when we've blocked it in is we're going to use the smear tool to smudge it, to blend it, and you'll see that it starts looking really good when you start doing that. So at the minute, yeah, it doesn't look great, you've got blocks of colour floating around there. You might think that looks a bit messy, but once you start smudging that in, it starts to look really good. And you'll see now already it's just starting to blend in there. Just using the white for highlights there, a little bit on the triangle for the nose. little shadow on the other side of the nose there, and just blow up that brush. And this is going to look very messy. It's going to look like I've put a mud pack on her, but all I'm doing is putting the darker shade in, and again quite roughly doing it, getting it blocked in there. Now I'm going to get that smudge tool, and now you start seeing it mixes that colour together and it starts to look a lot better. So we're just tidying that up a bit there, and let's see, oh, just a little shadow under that nose, just makes it stand out, and at the other side. And now just using the black just to strengthen some of those blacks there on the body, adding those parts on the hips again that I missed out. And I'm using the eraser now to tidy up the outline. This is why I said before I wasn't worried about it being too blocky, not being perfect the first time I applied the paint, because I can tidy it up with the eraser. And I'm basically drawing with the eraser here. I'm drawing in the negative space. We tend to think of drawing and painting as painting colour all the time, painting what I suppose is the positive space. What I'm doing now is I'm painting with the background. So I'm using an eraser like a pencil or a brush to shape the legs here, to shape her body, to make it into what I've got. So don't be afraid again of making mistakes in the first thing, and don't always think of an eraser as something to remove mistakes. The eraser is there to draw with as well, and this is the same if you're using pencils on paper. In traditional drawing you'll find that you can actually use it to draw with the rubber. We'll do another full lesson on that with traditional media at some point. So again, I'm just using the smudge tool there just to blend in some of that colour. Now what am I doing? Let's see, so we're over here now, we're picking the paint again, and I'm adding the highlights to the hood there. And I'm just adding more highlights to the hair and the nose, and you'll find I'm just going on. I've just made a mistake there. No, I didn't realise this for some time. Now we'll come back to fix that later. If I had noticed it straight away, I could have hit the undo tool and it would be gone. But unfortunately, I didn't see it the first time, so it's stuck there like a rogue eyebrow for now. But we'll come back to that later and sort that out. So I'm adding highlights to the chest now and to the shoulders, and some shadows to the hand, just to make those fingers pop out there, make them stand out. And on the other hand, we'll do the same. In case you're wondering, no, I'm not making this up as I go along. I am actually copying this off a photograph of the actual Funko Pop. And one thing that's really important in drawing and painting is to use your eyes. The best tool, and you'll hear me say this so many times if you do follow me, the best tool for drawing and painting is your eyes. And you have to spend most of your time looking at the object or person that you're trying to draw or paint. You need to spend more time looking at them than looking at your drawing itself. If you're ever going to get better at drawing, more accurate, you need to learn to look. And that is the best lesson anyone can ever teach you about creating art, whether it's drawing, whether it's sculpture, painting, whatever it is you do. You must learn to look and to see, and then to recreate that in whatever medium you choose. So now I've just added a bit of shadows to the purple areas here on the costume. I've also added the little webs on the arms in the meantime, and we're just adding more shadow, and as you see, the more you add, the more it comes out. So there, just on the inside of the hair there, because the hair stands out from the face, I'm adding shadow, and again just smudge that in. And on the other side here, there, I fixed that. I've just rubbed out that mistake, and it's a simple way to fix it. Rub it out, get the paint and repaint over it where it was. Not difficult, quite an easy one to fix, that one. But do keep an eye out for any mistakes like that, and try and nip them in the bud as soon as you spot them. Unlike me, who took about 5 minutes to realise I'd even done it. So I'm just adding these lines as shadows around the hair. Here we go. And when I've done that, they'll get blended in a bit. So that's what we're doing now. We're just smoothing them down like that. So I've got a small collection of Funko Pops. I think I've probably got about 20 of them. Probably not enough, but it's knowing where to keep them, where to put them. Some people don't like them, some people love them. I must admit, I find them fascinating. I think they're brilliant little things. Great characters. And they just brighten up a room, let's face it. But we're just going over the hand there, adding more shadows. And as you can see, all I use for this entire painting is a paintbrush, an eraser, and that blend tool, smudge tool, whatever you want to call it. That's all I'm using. 3 tools and a few colours. Not too much to it. Once you've got that basic template down, you can do any character over that, and it's just a case of keep going over it. So again, the chest didn't look right, so I repainted it. The hood here doesn't look quite right, so I'm just adding to it. And I'm just going around and tweaking little bits I can see that aren't quite right. And that's the great thing about drawing digitally and painting digitally again, is you can just correct as you go along. For me personally, I don't think anything I ever produce is perfect, and that's part of my personality. I get to a stage and I stop, and I find that once it's done, and I very rarely go back to a finished piece to correct it, even though, like all artists, I will just see mistake after mistake after mistake. But that's part of the frustration of being a creative person. You'll always criticise yourself worse than anybody else will. Well, we're finished here. I think that's a great little painting. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope you got some inspiration from this.